Good morning, Yarny Honeybees. Today is February 17th, 2022. It is a Thursday, and I have been tagged in the Made with Love Knitters and Crochet tag, which is a tag created by Mimi at the channel MadeByMeMe, spelled M-E-M-E, and you should check her out. She is adorable and talented and really fun to watch. I was tagged by my friend Vijai over at Vijai's Crochet. Her link will also be in the description down below. The Made with Love Knitters and Crochet tag. So, how long have I been knitting or crocheting? So, I'm only going to answer this as if I crochet. I do extremely basic knitting, and it's been a very long time. So we're just going to pretend I don't knit at all for now. I started with the crochet basics when I was 8 or 9. I was being taught by a daycare center teacher, and she was wonderful and patient with me, even when I went through a phase where all I wanted to do was make long starting chains. Eventually I did learn some more skills from her and complete your basic hot pad and a rug mug type thing. I didn't really keep doing it, and I want to say it was about 10 years ago I decided that I really wanted to crochet an afghan for my older brother. So I grabbed the only hook I had out of my closet, and I went to the store and bought Red Heart Super Saver in Painted Desert, and I crocheted a massive afghan for him out of that Red Heart Super Saver, which, no offense intended at all to people who love Red Heart Super Saver, but as a person who likes to gift people almost exclusively baby blankets and afghans, I really need my yarn to be soft, not an ounce of itchiness. And you just can't promise not an ounce of itchiness with Red Heart Super Saver. Anyway, it was about 5 years ago that I got super duper serious about crocheting and started researching the best hooks and which yarn would eventually become my favorites to use. Hi, Lion brand. I love you. So it became a bit of an obsession for me. I started seeing the world in color combinations and yarn textures, and fearing that I would lose the idea for every single project I had unless I started buying all the yarn I needed for that project when I saw it. And so that'll come up again later in the questions. Trust me. What is my oldest make? Well, the oldest make I know to still be in existence is the afghan I made for my older brother, which I talked about previously. I made that for him when he moved into his second apartment by himself. This was his attempt at an apartment that would attract a maid, and it worked. His friends helped him decorate the place so that it would be nice for dates at home, and they got to know each other, and now he's married to the mother of my niece, and they are very happy. What is my most recent make? That would be my Steven Universe aesthetic version of the squishy marshmallow hat, for which the video tutorial can be found on Kim's channel, Affordably Crafty. Link to Affordably Crafty and the video tutorial are in the description down below. What's my dream yarn? I really have no clue. I am allergic to most animal fibers, but I still would love to hand dye my own bare fiber of something someday. And I would like it to come out vividly and not wash out the way dyeing cotton, especially with tie-dye, tends to do. And so I guess anything truly hypoallergenic and super soft would be wonderful. I just don't know what that is yet, or how I would get my hands on it, or what kind of dyes I would use to affect it best. And believe me, I've done research. It's just most people start their tutorial with, if you're not using wool, this won't work. And that's the end of the lesson for people who can't use wool. It feels exclusionary sometimes, I'm gonna be honest. How many whips do I have? Several. I have the Winter Mint blanket, Super Fiance's blue blanket, Giant Granny Square Stash Buster 2022 blanket, the V-stitch scarf I started for fun and practice, and I started a Cinnamon Stitches Dahlia crop top that I never finished and forgot to show during my last Work in Progress Wednesday. Oops. I will show that next time. It will definitely still be a whip next week. I also have a pile of whips that became unfinished objects, as I haven't had time or access to my bedroom since I broke and subsequently lost my leg, to really look at them and remember where I was with all of them. I know of at least 4, including a granny ripple blanket I was making with loops and threads impeccable, and that red heart heat wave that's supposed to heat up in sunlight. I crocheted with that almost exclusively in the car, and I'm in California. That yarn is a gimmick. It's a gimmick. It doesn't heat up. What does my stash look like? My stash, well, okay. I have acquired from my dispensary several jars of highly potent top shelf. Oh, you mean my yarn stash. That makes more sense. I'm a hoarder, y'all. I love everybody who can keep their yarn, sorted by color and organized and out of their way. But I am a person who knows I order and buy more yarn than I need to when I feel sad or depressed or out of control. And also when I am scared that I'm going to run out of yarn that I've never had a chance to buy before, or that I will miss out on an incredible clearance sale. I get terrible FOMO from those events. My walk-in closet is full of various types of Karen cakes. I have books in boxes that aren't unpacked because I put yarn on my bookshelves. Mandala cakes from Lion Brand, and also Ferris wheels, and some ice yarn is on that shelf as well. The area in front of that bookshelf has a couple of Lion Brand Santa sacks and several zip containers full of Karen cupcakes, big cakes and cotton cakes. And then there's around this hospital bed, and on it I have to my left a basket of yarn for upcoming projects, and to my right a bag full of yarn from previous projects that I would like to use up instead of putting back on the shelf. And then behind me I have the anniversary cake that I am using to work on Fiance's blue blanket, and I also have a naked pillow that is going to bother me. And I also have all of the Care and Simply Soft that I'm using to make my granny square blanket right now. So my yarn room overfloweth. I have been chastised repeatedly. If and when I get a P.O. box, please do not send me more yarn. I do not need help. This is not me under duress. This is me saying, I cannot possibly handle more yarn at the present time. Please do not send me yarn. There's yarn at arm's reach in almost every direction, and I have to work on that. That is one of the major reasons I am doing the Yarn Hookers Bust Your Stash 2022, and Ursula, who is OM Granny Square, has hashtag Crochet Fever 2022. Am I a loose or tight crocheter? That depends on my state of mind. I used to carry a lot of tension in my neck and shoulders, and that would transfer directly into my stitches. And there would be days that I felt so relaxed and so well that my stitches were almost impossibly loopy and too large to work into neatly. That's another reason I love my crochet ring. When, if ever, do I weave in my ends? I'm trying to get better about sewing in my ends intermittently during the project. Sewing them in about a week or two after I've completed the project is usually the case. Once I feel I am comfortable with and energetic enough to do some live streams, I will be doing a late afternoon or evening sew 'em in Saturday, and sometime late morning or early afternoon we will be doing sew 'em in Sundays. So you'll definitely have that to look forward to, because as I said, friends don't let friends sew in ends alone. We don't do it. We don't do it. What is a pattern I can't stop thinking about? The Abigail Fairy Dress by Crystal. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It's either Crystal or Christelle. Riley Watts. My beautiful friend Reggie at J Hook Crochet, which will also be linked down below, was asked to make the video accompaniment by the pattern writer, and learning that only fueled my obsession with this pattern. It is so whimsical and pretty, and it looks beautiful in any sort of ombre effect yarn or self-striping yarn. It just looks beautiful. I am honestly secretly a little obsessed with the idea of making it in adult sizes and out of a more mature shimmery yarn or silk, and then using them as bridesmaids dresses. While I have made some wonderful lady friends in the past few years, they have all been online, so unfortunately I don't have any female friends that I feel are close enough to say, hey, do you want to travel lots and lots of miles to see me get married? I will have a man of honor, and I am very excited about that. If I were to have bridesmaids, I would crochet or commission someone to help me crochet those Abigail Fairy dresses in adult sizes. I think they're beautiful. What is my biggest knitting or crochet goal? I'm terrified of wearables. In all of the years I've crocheted, I don't think I've even tried to make so much as a hat until the holiday season of last year. whether I make it for myself or my niece or someone else. That Abigail fairy dress just seems fun and challenging to do. And at some point, I really want to make that dress. Beyond that, I sincerely want to bust my stash this year. I want at least half of it gone by the time I've decided whether or not I'm going to do Vlogmas 2022. That was Made with Love Knitters and Crochet tag. I was tagged by Vijay's Crochet, and I would like to tag Kelly at Kelly's Crochet Adventures, Melanie at Hook to the Left Crochet, and my sis Nana at Creatively Created Crochet. And also, you. If you are a content creator and I didn't name you specifically by name, but you want to make this video, do it. I have tagged you. Now bring forth excellence, child. I want you to have a wonderful day. Be safe and kind to everyone you encounter. And be sweet and gentle with yourself. Bye, honeybees.